Hello everyone, my name is Virani Intachat from Polytechnic Sultan Abdul Halim Muazzam Shah, Jitra. In the second semester of studies for the Diploma of Electrical Engineering at Malaysian Polytechnics, there is a subject that could evoke fear among students. DEC 2012 Fundamental Programming. Fundamental Programming is a core course for students enrolled in the Department of Electrical Engineering at Malaysian Polytechnics. In this course, students are required to learn about the basics of programming using the C programming language. According to Marshall Brain, in the basics of C programming, the C programming language is a popular and widely used programming language for creating computer programs. Programmers around the world embrace C because it gives maximum control and efficiency to the programmers. It is his belief that learning C would be greatly beneficial to learners as they would be able to read and write code for a large number of platforms. Everything from microcontrollers to the most advanced scientific systems can be written in C. Furthermore, many operating systems are written in C. In fact, in the Malaysian Polytechnic's electrical engineering curricula, students would later use C programming language when learning how to program microcontrollers for the DEC 5052 Embedded System Application course. Yet, many students dislike C programming as they say it is difficult to understand and they avoid it like a plague. The programming basics taught are simple input-output, selection, and looping instructions, with students required to write their own programs during lab sessions. Despite their negative perception that C programming has among students, there is no high failure rate as some would come to expect. However, those who teach the course often complain about students not understanding how the basic commands of C works, students refusing to write their own programs. They would use various means to copy from their friends or from examples in the internet. At the end of the course, students are unable to write basic, simple programs to solve simple problems. Although no one has quite developed a complete allergic reaction to C, in my teaching experience, some have come quite close. They just throw up their hands when it comes to programming. I asked some fellow colleagues, as well as research on studies, about the factors on why students find C programming or programming itself so difficult, and these are the common reasons given. Programming is a whole new world. For most students, this is the first time that they are learning programming. Despite being IT savvy with the latest gadgets and familiar with new applications and softwares, the art of programming itself, which requires them to string codes together, simply defies them. Secondly, students cannot relate the syntax of the commands. Learning the syntax of the command separately is rather easy for most students. However, putting them all together to form a program that can solve a problem is the biggest challenge they face in programming. Third, lack of interest. As the platform for writing a C program is mostly text-based with very little graphical user interface, the current generation of students who are used to high-definition graphics and audio often find it uninteresting or just plain boring. Fourthly, unable to imagine how the program will be executed. Second semester students have almost none or very little knowledge on the computer architecture to truly understand the concept of memory, central processing unit, and how certain commands or instructions are related to these elements. Thus, explaining about declaration of variables, which requires students to have some basic knowledge of how data is stored in memory, can prove challenging to some. Next, inability to imagine the output of the program. As the C program has to be typed in its entirety before being executed, some students are unable to relate the lines of instructions to the actual output. Lastly, students lack skills to analyze and design programming problems. Programming is a skill requiring the utilization of multiple types of learning simultaneously. This includes problem solving, critical thinking, mathematics, and computer skills. So the challenge to those teaching C programming is, how do we get students to overcome their fear of C? Brett Victor, in his article, Learnable Programming, which asked the question, how do we get people to understand programming, is of the opinion that there are two thoughts of learning. Programming is a way of thinking, not a rote skill. This school of thought believes that only people with the ability to program can do programming. However, there are others who believe that programming is a skill which can be learned and that it is not a body of knowledge. They also believe that programming is learned by programming itself and not from books. So the key to learning programming is through practice. The second school of thought is that people understand what they can see. If a programmer cannot see what a program is doing, he or she can't understand it. He believes that to get people to understand programming, the act of programming itself must be turned into something that's understandable by people. This can be done by, firstly, changing the way programming is taught by not separating the theory lessons from the practical sessions. Secondly, providing a free or low-cost programming software or application that students can use to exercise their programming skills using their gadgets. Thirdly, allocate more time for programming exercises to allow those who learn at a slower pace to understand the lessons. Fourth, develop learning modules that allow students to see a simulated output as they write their programs. This would allow them to go back and forward to see how the instruction or command line works. As a conclusion, I believe that programming can be learned and the fear of C programming overcome. However, it requires a change in how we approach the teaching and learning of this course. I hope my talk have been able to highlight the problems and factors of students fearing C programming. It is my sincere wish that we can change the perception of students about the fundamental programming course from one of fear of C to one of love of C. Thank you for listening.